I've generated over six figures from online business in my early 20s. And one of the biggest lessons I learned is when you get rich, tell no one. Not your friends, not your coworkers, not even your family. Here's why that might be one of the smartest financial decisions you could ever make. Now, number one, money changes how people see you, right? A lot of times when people make a certain amount of money, what happens is that people look at you differently, right? They literally look at you no longer as just, a friend, someone they can go to, but they look at you as almost a target, right? Almost somebody who they can look at and say, oh man, this dude, he thinks he's better than us. He has money, right? And they almost tend to feel jealous because of the situation that you're in, what you've done to separate yourself from other people financially, right? And relationships can even shift the second money enters the picture, right? How many times do you know when certain relationships they tend to break because of money, right? Even divorces, a lot of times they say that one of the number one reasons for divorce is financial reasons, right? So it shows you, and obviously I'm not saying hide your finances from a spouse, but obviously finances are definitely a huge factor into this entire, just relationships in general. Now, number two, everyone wants a piece, right? Suddenly you are an ATM and people are asking you, man, can I get $20? Can I get $30? And it's no different than you hitting the lottery, right? And people asking you for money. You can think of it the exact same way. How many times have you seen where people talk about they win the lottery and then they have new family members they've never even met asking them for money, right? And people want to do these investments, right? They're all of a sudden these business people, right? They want loans from you. Now it's not always a malicious intent, but it can drain you for sure. And obviously, when we talk about protecting your wealth, that means setting boundaries with people. So, a lot of people who are wealthy don't even give money to family or friends because they know things like this can happen. Now, of course, if it's somebody that you've known for a while and they really looked out for you, that's one thing. But again, you don't owe anyone anything, right? If you are wealthy and making that money, you really do not owe anyone, right? And a lot of times it's just your own mind playing games with you. Now, number three, it can make you a target, right? Because think about social media and how many times people nowadays post online, talk about what they're doing, and then they end up getting robbed, right? So there's definitely a threat there in terms of showing what you actually have, especially flaunting, right? Flaunting. Now, it's one thing maybe to tell someone and you're just teaching or something like that, but just flaunting out there for no reason, man, you're putting a target on your back for people to come after you, right? And of course, then you have things like scammers, people who are doing fake lawsuits just to try to get money from you, and even emergencies, right? That find you all of a sudden very quickly. Oh, someone's in the hospital, they need this emergency surgery, right? Things can come up. And privacy is the cheapest insurance policy you can have, right? Because if people don't know, then they don't know, right? People can't mess up what they don't know. And if you're interested in building more freedom and you've always wanted to start a YouTube channel, do something on YouTube, and wanted to get paid for talking about things you're already interested in, click my link in the description. Number four, family pressure gets real. Now, relatives start to see you as a backup plan, right? And a lot of times you hear these guilt trips, right? That people try to throw at you in order to manipulate you to get money, right? And it could be things like, man, you can afford it. Why can't you help me? Like, oh, I looked out for you back in the day, this and that. And you hear so many different things, but obviously we are talking about the present, right? And a lot of people will try to manipulate you in order to get money from you, right? So you have to be careful with that as well. And saying no definitely becomes harder, but it's something where you have to put those boundaries in place or else you are going to get taken advantage of for sure. Number five, jealousy destroys friendships. Now, some friends celebrate you, but many will resent you, right? And we kind of talked about that earlier. People start competing with you, and competition is not a bad thing, right? But when they start treating you poorly because of what you're doing, right? Because you're on your way to building wealth, you're doing more. And a lot of those people, right? These people didn't support you when you were on your way up. So you have to be very careful in terms of, you have to remember, right? A lot of these people didn't support you at all, right? And they might even begin to distance themselves because you make them feel inferior, right? And silence really filters those people out for sure. So you have to keep people at a distance. And number six, man, flexing keeps you in this lifestyle creep cycle, right? So lifestyle inflation, we always talk about it, where people match their expenses with their income. Once you show it off, there's an expectation for you to continue and keep up with this image, not only in your brain, but in other people's brain as well, right? You have the bigger car, the nicer house, all of these things. What you really need to look for is freedom and not just keeping up with the Joneses. So you have to be very careful. And the flex that you want to flex your freedom, not your liabilities, right? Flex your assets, not your liabilities, things that put money into your pocket and not out of it. So when you get rich, don't tell anyone. Now click this video on the link to learn more about these financial topics that no one ever taught you.